Hey folks, it's Sunday, August 23rd. My name's James. I'm the president of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers here in Edmonton, and it's a beautiful day out. So this week through the Alberta Federation of Labour, I was invited to participate in a roundtable with a member of Parliament and many other members of labour organizations across Alberta, and that was to participate in discussions with Member of Parliament Terry DeGeed about a number of things facing Alberta. So Terry DeGeed is the chair of the Standing Committee on Natural Resources, and we talked about things from what would it cost Alberta if separation mandate were to go through. We talked about Bill 11 and the changes to healthcare and the Privatization Act. We talked about changes to the Labour Code and Section 107. A number of different things we talked about, and I had the opportunity to speak my piece about the Labour Code and the Postal Union and Canada Post. So, I mean, to be fair to Minister DeGeed, he did give us the time. He was attentive. He did spend a lot of time listening and taking notes. But he did physically cringe when I told him I was from CUPW. And I don't know if that's a matter of he just didn't want to deal with me or if he just knows that the government has treated us unfairly for a very long time. But conversation went well, I guess. I talked to him about how the government only seems to be interested in Section 107 of the Labour Code and changing the Labour Code because the Supreme Court has decided that the right to strike is a fundamental right under our right to association, and they know that they're probably going to lose these court cases against the use of Section 107 that forced us back to work and CP and CN, and they tried to use it on Air Canada, and then look at that, WestJet got a contract lickety split because they didn't have that option, or they didn't pursue that option. I also spoke to them about the fact that it was September of last year that they were supposed to have presented this plan for Canada Post, and that the plan has not been presented, that it cannot be collected or viewed even by the chair of the OGGO, and that when they've asked the company for it, they've told them to go to the government. When they've asked the government for it, they've told them to go to the company. So they've not been forthcoming, and that means one of two things. There is no plan, which could be likely as they haven't approved a business plan in 10 years, which is why we've been delivering the mail for basically at lower than cost for a decade. Manufactured failure. But there could be a plan. They just don't want to tell us because if they tell us, they know there'll be backlash from the public. And I talked about the fact that there should be public consultation on a publicly owned enterprise such as Canada Post, but that the Liberal government has come out and just said they're not interested in this moment of having public consultation and that they're going to go forward with the plan as they see fit. I also talked about how it was briefly about how it was basically the plan to spend all of our money, and the only reason we're in debt now is because of that plan. I did piggyback off of the nurses union representative who was talking about how we need to bring vaccination production back to Canada, and I did mention on behalf of some other members that we also needed to bring back insulin production to Canada. It was created and developed here and then sold off during the Mulroney years and immediately closed by a foreign company so they can control that production. I also learned a few things from the construction trades. They were talking about something called double breasting. I've heard the term before. I didn't quite understand what it was, but it comes from the idea of having a double-breasted suit and how they can take one thing from one pocket and put it in the other. Now, sometimes contracts will call for a company to be unionized in order to make sure that labor standards are upheld and stuff like that. So this is illegal everywhere else but Alberta, apparently. A company will have a unionized section of their company and then a non-unionized section. And so they will bid as the unionized section of the company, and then when they get the contract, they will then give the work to their non-unionized portion. So this could result in underbidding. It could result in basically a kind of a fraud being committed. but it's legal in Alberta apparently. And frequently it can be used by a company to suppress their own unionized workforce by keeping them from being in high demand, which would push wages up. This way they can keep those down, and and they can bid against themselves. So that's got to stop. So I was happy to have the opportunity, but the question is, will it amount to anything, or will it just be so much paper that ends up on a committee desk somewhere and doesn't do anything? I suspect it's rather the latter. And on to other news, we've started our plan for pushing back on the conversion to CMBs. We had a training session over the weekend with some members to talk about deep canvassing, going door to door, talking to people, getting them involved, getting them to sign the petition, and then future plans that we have. Initially, I just went to the Rosedale depot and asked for members to participate from there, because they're the people who are immediately being affected by it, or will be. By October next year, they'll be live and ready to go. But we'll be looking to do that again in the future. It actually turned out to be much easier than I thought. That could just be me, but everybody else there seemed to find that it became significantly easier over time. We didn't have any real hostile encounters. The closest thing we had to that was people were just like, I'm not interested, I won't talk about it. So we just offer them a postcard or a piece of literature and off we go. But I'm looking forward to it. The plan's developing, and we'll have more of those days in the future. Hope you can participate. All right, have a good rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you soon.